जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। जमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada की जाए। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाए। ISKCON फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाए। नाम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जाए। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जाए। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा देवी जमुना देवी तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are studying the Bhagavad-gita as it is. We're on the second chapter and we're on the 51st verse. And so I think I'm supposed to chant it through 3 times and then give you a chance to chant also. This is a very, I was surprised how nice this verse was. Maybe, and probably they're all nice, but by reviewing this, I thought this was very, 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 very especially nice verse. Okay. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi palam chaktva manishina janma bandha vinirmukta padam gacchantyanāmayam. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi palam chaktva manishina janma bandha vinirmukta padam gacchantyanāmayam. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi palam tyaktva manishina janma bandha vinir mukta padam gacchantyanayam. Someone like to chant? Either way, anybody on the there's how many? 15 participants. Let's see. Anybody like to chant? You'd have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Kama Jambudi Yuktahi Halam. Am I the right one? Yeah.
You're doing great.
Halam Takva Manisina Janma Buddha Janma Banda Vine Mukta Padam Gachant Yanamayam.
Very good. Someone else.
Karma Jambudhi Yukta hi Phalam Tagva Manishina Janma Bandha Vinirmukta Padam Gachanti Anamayam.
Great, good, very good. That was Sudevi, Mother Sudevi.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, we have somebody in the temple room who would like to chant. Bhakta Sean has raised his hand, so we'll recognize him. Good. With the American people like us, and the first word is always one of the hardest to pronounce properly, because we like to say, like a vehicle is a car, right? So we want to say karma, but really it's a short A. You know what a short A sounds like? Karma, yeah, karma. So we have a tendency to say karma, but it's really karma. Okay. Anyone else in the temple or at their computer, laptop, or computer places?
Karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyakta manishina janma bandha vimukta vinimukta padam gacchati anamyam.
Very good, very good. Dronacharya. Very good. Yes, Nishinga. Very good, very good. Thank you. Anyone else in the internet land? Okay. Karmajam. Because of fruitive activities.
Due to fruitive activities.
Buddhi yukta. Being done in devotional service.
Being engaged in devotional service.
Okay, different one. He certainly. Palam. Results. Tyaktva. Giving up. Manishina. Great sages or devotees. Janma bandha. From the bondage of birth and death. Vinir mukta. Liberated. Padam. Position. Gachanti. They reach. Anamayam. Without miseries. Okay. Translation. By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries, by going back to Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a very powerful verse, right? Yeah. Purport: the liberated living entities belong to that place where there are no material miseries. That's here, Anamayam. The Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, 58th verse says, Samashrita je padapallavaplavam mahatpadam punyayasho murare pavambudir vatsapadam parampadam padam padam yad vipadam natesha. For one who has accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Mukunda. You know the name Mukunda? What does Mukunda mean? Mukunda.
Giver of liberation.
Yes, very good. Giver of Mukunda. Or the giver of Mukti. The ocean of this material world is like the water contained in a calf's footprint. Padam padam, or the place where there are no material miseries, or Vaikuntha is his goal, not the place where there is danger at every step of life. And the next paragraph. Owing to ignorance, one does not know that this material world is a miserable place where there are dangers at every step. Out of ignorance only, less intelligent men try to adjust to the situation by fruitive activities, thinking that the resultant actions will make them happy. They do not know that no kind of material body anywhere within the universe can give life without miseries. The miseries of life, namely birth, death, old age, and diseases, are present everywhere within the material world. But one who understands his real constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Lord, and thus knows the position of the personality of Godhead, engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Consequently, he becomes qualified to enter into the Vaikuntha planets, where there is neither material miserable life nor the influence of time and death. To know one's constitutional position means to know also the sublime position of the Lord. One who wrongly thinks that the living entity's position and the Lord's position are one and the same is to be understood to be in darkness, and therefore unable to engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. He becomes a Lord himself, and then paves the way for the repetition of birth and death. But one who, understanding his position is to serve, transfers himself to the service of the Lord and at once becomes eligible for Vaikuntha Loka. Service for the cause of the Lord is called Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, or in plain words, devotional service to the Lord. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Dadati Shah Pandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So as I was saying, that this, by looking at and trying to think about and study this verse, I was pretty amazed at how complete and wonderful this verse is. Karma jam, karma jam. You know, anyone knows where the word jam, any other verses where jam comes from? You know, in the 18th chapter where Lord Krishna is describing the different orders, Varna, he says, for example, Shama, Dhamma, Tapa, Shaucham. You know this one? Shantir, Arjavam, Evakcha, Jnana, Vijnana, Astikyam, Brahma Karma, Swabhavajam. Born from their nature. Swabhava means their nature. Born from their nature, these are the activities they do. So here we have karma jam. Karma jam means born out of your karma. Born out of karma, what happens? Janma bandha. We're stuck. We're corralled by death. So there's a number of important pieces of actionable intelligence for us highlighted in this text spoken by the Supreme Lord Krishna to his dear friend Arjuna. One of them is that what I just mentioned is Janma Bandha. Janma means what? Birth, yeah. Janma Bandha. We're Bandha is tied up by birth. Because so just by virtue of taking birth in the physical body, we are prisoners. Just by virtue of taking birth in this physical body, according to Krishna. I mean, some people will say this is a very negative, outlook on life. Okay, but this is Krishna, the supreme authority, is telling us how it is.
Okay.
Moreover, it is possible for us living beings, that's point. It is possible for living beings as essentially eternal spirit souls, here's another point, is that we can break out from and escape from this Alcatraz of the material world. The self-defeating vicious circle of being born and dying again and again and again. Janma bandha vinirmukta. Vinirmukta, we escape Alcatraz of this material world. And a third point in this verse, it's made crystal clear that there is a destination, an environment for us. Here it's called Padam Anamayam. You know what Maya, but Anamaya means not Maya, not illusory causing anxiety, disturbances, suffering. That is completely free from all material miseries and where you and I can experience full and enduring happiness. Exists. And as Srila Prabhupada indicates in the first line of the purport, that you and I belong to that transcendental land of Mukunda. In other words, that land is our true home. We say, back to Godhead, back home, back to Godhead, right? Back home, back to Godhead. And the fourth point here, all of these in the same verse, this is amazing. The fourth point is that Lord Krishna is explicitly disclosing to any of us who want to hear that there is a method to liberate ourselves from this death that will allow us to extricate ourselves from being trapped in the results of our karma, of our fruit of activities. And that process is called devotional service. Buddhi yukta, it's right here, it's called Buddhi yukta. And then he says, he, certainly you can do it. Certainly you can go back to Godhead. Certainly you can free yourself from your karma jam, those reactions of your karma that come from the karma. How? Certainly you can by devotional service. Buddhi yukta. Mm. And who are the persons who can appreciate this knowledge, this information? Who are the people? It says here, Manishina. Manishina, which Prabhupada translates as sages, devotees. Another sometimes meaning of Manishina is a very, very thoughtful person. A very, very thoughtful person. So let's ponder and discuss these points in an attempt to be thoughtful. Right? A very thoughtful person. There's we heard, it was Friday, we were hearing from Giriraj Maharaj, and he was saying that he went to, what was his university? Brandeis, yeah. And he was studying under Abraham Maslow, who's a psychology person, the third force in psychology. And he mentioned there was B.F. Skinner was the second, there's Freud, and then B.F. Skinner was teaching behaviorism. And radical behaviorism means that all behavior, as it can be explained by reinforcement. People do whatever they do according to what kind of gain they get, what kind of reinforcement they get. So the paradigm they would use is they'd get a bird or a little animal and they put it in a box. And if they wanted the bird or animal, rat, to push a lever in the box, every time they pushed the lever, they would put a little food pellet would come out. So the rat would learn, they would program the rat, anytime you press the lever, you get a food pellet. So then, of course, the rat's going to press the lever all the time. And so the idea of radical behaviorism was, it doesn't matter what you think. The only thing that matters is what rewards, what reinforcement you get. And that reinforcement can be direct or secondarily. But anyway, you don't have to think. You don't even consider thinking as important. Here in this verse, though, it says, Manishina, those people who are very thoughtful. You ordinarily in this material we're programmed to act in a certain way for fruitive results like that rat or bird in the cage. But let's be thoughtful about it and get out of that habitual cycle of actions for only superficial rewards. Lord Krishna explains as the supreme authority that you and I are in bondage. You ever feel like trapped? Do you ever feel trapped? Do you ever feel trapped? Yeah. Sometimes we feel that way, but not other times, not so much. But in our current circumstances, we are prisoners according to Lord Krishna or Murari. We should ask ourselves, do you want to die? You sure? Do you want to grow old? You want to grow old? No. These things will happen to our bodies no matter what. That is the reality. But, and we don't like to be reminded of or consider these difficulties because it makes us uncomfortable and it increases our feeling of being trapped, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. But unless we are thoughtful about it, Manishina, and pay attention to the predicament we're in, we won't search for anything different. You follow? Unless we think about it, yeah. We won't change our ways. Lord Krishna has a better idea for us, and he says here, there is something more, there is a way out. Srila Prabhupada used to give the example of when you might visit a friend in the hospital. You've heard this example before. So you visit your friend, and they're in traction, right? And they're only eating a little bit of liquid food through a straw because they can't digest anything. They're on some kind of, and the nurses come in and they push them over to clean them up and or maybe they have a bedpan, and you know, they have to stick them with various needles and stuff. And so you ask your friend, how are you feeling? And they say, I'm fine. I'm fine. This is our position. This is our position in the material world. Sometimes you've seen that. I went to a pig farm once before I was a devotee, and you know, what they call it, a pig sty or a pig farm, right? Yeah. So you know, when you have a small farm, then the farmer himself goes and he takes and slaughters the pigs. So you know, there's a fenced in place where all the pigs are, and so every once in a while the farmer comes and he, you know, takes a pig and kills it, you know, for, you know, selling for whatever, for his meat. But all the pigs, they know, because actually pigs are a little bit smart as animals. So they go, and as the farmer comes in, they all run and they start, you know what do pigs do? They squeal, right? They start running around, and then the farmer grabs one and carries them off. And then after like 5 minutes, the pigs are back to their normal life, right? Isn't it? That's what happens. You can see. Similarly, in human society, we see today that there's heightened awareness of danger because of disease that saturated the communications in the world. And we're hoping to avoid being infected and hoping that things will get back to normal soon. Okay? Isn't it true? Yeah. But we forget the omnipresence of danger in this world. There is always danger, but we like to stick our head in the sand and try to forget it. We have illusory attachments that we look for comfort and safety, but they're like impermanent cellmates. So say you're in jail and you get a cellmate. You don't have a choice about your cellmate. You're sitting in the cellmate for a while, and then all of a sudden, you know, the person's transferred to a new prison. You have no say so. You might have liked that cellmate, you may not have liked that cellmate, but that's the way it is in the material world. We have our attachments with our family, our friends, et cetera, but they're all temporary. They can be transferred and changed at any moment. That's described in the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. During the operation, there was an operation in India called Genghis Khan. You know this? You remember Indian history? Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan operation. It was in December 1971 when there was a war between India and Pakistan. And Pakistan sent their Air Force to do some preemptive strikes. It's not just the United States, so Pakistan had done preemptive strikes. And Prabhupada was in the home of a man in New Delhi, and a reporter had just come to interview him. So just then, the reporter said, I understand that by Krishna, this is from the Lilamrita, by Krishna you mean some eternal principle. And Srila Prabhupada said, no, I don't mean a principle. I mean a person like you and me. Prabhupada was explaining Lord Krishna as the Supreme Person when suddenly air raid sirens began blaring. So the reporter cried, blackout, blackout, blackout. And war between Pakistan and India had been imminent for weeks, and the air raid drills and warnings were now commonplace in Delhi. Sir, the reporter spoke tensely in the darkened room. Sir, what do you have to say? This is the presence of hard reality. We are being threatened in this fight by Pakistan, and the siren is the ugly reality coming for us. Srila Prabhupada quickly replied, we are always in the ugly reality. 24 hours a day. Suppose there is no blackout. Still, if you go to the street, there is no guarantee that you will come home. In this way, you are always in the ugly reality. Why do you say only in this blackout? This is just one of the features of ugly reality. That's all. The reporter said, yes, but at this moment, you do not realize, Prabhupada said, you do not realize that you are in ugly reality 24 hours a day. And then he said, any guesses what he said? Padam, padam, yadvipadam natesham. At every step, there's danger. Reporter, I know, sir, but this is a collective national danger. So shouldn't we do something different now? Have you anything to offer us in this circumstance? The reporter said. So what does Srila Prabhupada say? He said, Krishna consciousness is our only remedy. Take through this process and you will be happy. So let's make a plan to become Krishna conscious and get out of this danger permanently by manishina, by being devotionally thoughtful. Yeah. Every single one of us is searching for experiencing full happiness, complete happiness in our own way. What is driving our quest? Why is it there? Because pure happiness is the natural condition of the self. When you're sick, you take steps to free yourself from the disease because healthy life is your natural life. Similarly, we spirit souls are hunting for full bliss since it is the natural state in the kingdom of God. Padam padam, or padam anamayam. However, uninformed, misguided, and impatient about finding it, we lower our standards and are fooled to accept physical happiness, which is uncertain and brief, as being good enough. We think there is nothing more anyway. We are reassured in our beliefs by learned philosophers who tell us that a wise person must learn to accept the bad with the good as being all part of the grand scheme of life and rejoice in that. They tell us that there's nothing besides that. Beliefs about eternal life are like fairy tales meant for children. But how do they know? How do they know? Srila Prabhupada compares these people like Dr. Frog. There's a frog who lives in a well, and all he knows is the expanse of water, which is about, how wide is a well? 3 feet. And another frog comes in who's been to the ocean. And the frog comes into the well and he tries to explain to the well frog what the ocean is like. And the well frog has a very difficult time understanding. So he says, is the ocean twice as big as my well? Yes? No. Is it 3 times as big as my well? No. Is it 4 times? So, because the frog, or Prabhupada used to call it Dr. Frog in the well, cannot conceive. Why? They haven't taken the proper process for understanding. So, Lord Krishna here explains that there is a wonderful transcendental realm where you and I can join he and his family. And he is not only that, he is inviting us to go there. This is he's explaining here in this verse for Krishna and for Arjuna and for us, because, why is he explaining? Because he wants us to come there. He wants us to come there. We are stuck, but he wants us to come. So how to do that, how to go there? Lord Krishna advises us that we can get out of the control of our karma by devotional service to Krishna, bhakti yoga, or Krishna consciousness. How we can be free from, become detached, free from our karma. Sometimes we think that we can become free from karmic reaction by just trying to be detached. So when I was a new devotee in the New York temple, on Sundays in the summer, there was a Sunday feast just like here. And we used to go to the Central Park to do Sankirtan there and chant and distribute books. And anybody who was interested, we'd bring them back to the temple for the Sunday feast. And I remember I was talking during that time as a new devotee, I was talking to one couple who told me that they were already very spiritual. And in talking to them further, I understood, okay, but they're very spiritual, but they're also taking all kinds of intoxicants and involved in illicit sex. So I asked them, well, how can you be spiritual if you're doing these things? I was baffled. And they told me, well, we do them, but we're not attached to them. We take, LSD and some heroin, but we're not attached to them. They were aloof, they said. And I was baffled. In the 1970s and 80s, there was a group that became very popular that encouraged people to take neo-sannyas. Have you heard of this? Neo-sannyas in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, as a way to become detached from their conditioning and their karma. And part of that practice as a neo-sannyasin, was to indulge frequently in all kinds of, explore and indulge in all kinds of sense pleasures, with the idea that even outside of the realm of normal moral activity, and with the idea that by doing so very frequently, that eventually they'd become detached. Right? That was their idea. But the defect in the method became apparent after some time, since these neo-sannyasis preferred to remain in the neophyte stage. Why? So they could keep on doing those things. Because but further, because their method wasn't correct or supported by Lord Krishna. Ye shastravidhim utsvijya vartate kamaktarata. Lord Krishna says elsewhere in Bhagavad-gita that if you reject or give up the recommendations of Shastra driven by kama means lust, na sadhim navapnoti, no perfection will come to you, na sukham na param gatim, no happiness, no supreme destination. So it's doing that way, making that attempt to become detached is like trying to light a fire and pouring water on it. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Here, Lord Krishna is freely informing Arjuna and us about the effective method of becoming detached and free from bondage. And what is that? It is engaging in Krishna conscious Buddhi Yoga, Krishna consciousness. So how does Lord Krishna advise one to become free from the results of karma? Bhakti Yoga, engaging regularly and steadily in devotional service to the Lord every day. So we have to change our activities from activities of karma to activities for Krishna's pleasure. Atmendriya priti bancha tare bole kaam. You know that verse? Atmendriya priti vancha tare bole kaam. Work done to satisfy your own senses, that's called lust, kaam. Krishnendriya priti icha tare prem naam. But action to please Krishna's senses, that is called love or Krishna consciousness. So in our progress on trying to engage in Krishna consciousness, there are sometimes pitfalls, stumbling blocks, troubles along the way. So how do we deal with those troubles or blocks? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to tell a story. It was a very interesting story. It was put in the Back to Godhead one time. It was about a wedding party. Have you heard about the wedding party? It was in Bengal. So, in India, weddings are very, very social gala affairs. Many cultures, not only. So, but in Bengal, everybody in the old days used to travel mostly by the rivers, because there's a lot of rivers and tributaries and stuff. So the groom's party had to travel a long distance to get to the wedding place. He came with maybe 10, 15 people, and they were walking. They came to the bank of a river, and down the river was the place where the wedding was supposed to take place the next day. And they came to the bank of the river, and they saw there were some boats. So they said, boatman. They hired a boat and said, we need to get to such and such place by next morning. He said, yes, come on. And so they said, they got there. The boatmen started rowing. By that time, it was dark. So people, they had been walking a long time. They fell asleep on the boat. Some people were snoring. So the boatman was rowing all night. And then the first light of dawn, they wake up, they hear the birds are chirping, and the wedding party looks around, and you know what they see? They had moved. They could have said something was wrong, but the boatman said, but I've been rowing all night. What happened? I couldn't understand. So then one of the people said, look, wait. You forgot to pull up the anchor. What is that anchor? That is our material attachments that we have. Every single one of us has those material attachments that pull us away or take over our interest in our time and energy to engage in Krishna service. And those attachments could be, very gross, physical. We might be involved in meat eating, or we might be involved in illicit sex or intoxication of some kind, gambling. Those are gross more. Or they can be very subtle attachments. We're very proud of our place of birth, our learning, etc. But in order to become Krishna conscious, those attachments, those anchors, they have to be pulled up. We can't just allow them to go. And when I first heard this story, I was a little confused, because I thought, in Krishna consciousness, you say that we regularly chant Hare Krishna, and we hear spiritual discourses, and all the dirty things within the heart are supposed to become cleansed like automatically, and so that anchor should come up by itself, right? You think? Well, you'd hope, but in this verse, in this story, there's some effort on your part also. There's another story about the bird whose sparrow was on the bank of the ocean, and she had laid her eggs on the shore, but then a big wave came and took the eggs out to sea, and the sparrow became very disturbed. And so what she did was, she went to the ocean and started filling up her beak with water and putting the water back on the shore again. Beak. How long would it take to dry up the ocean that way? You won't do it, no, yeah. But what happened was, Garuda heard this. Her relative Garuda heard this was going on, so he said, "Well, I should go and help." So Garuda came and threatened the ocean. Listen, you better give my relatives eggs back. And then the ocean came. Okay, yes. So that's similar to us. We are attached to this material world. We are attached to things that will interfere with our advancement in Krishna consciousness. And we have to also endeavor to remove those blocks, remove those attachments. And if we make the attempt, Krishna will help us. Krishna will help us. We can't do it by ourselves, but Krishna will help us remove them in that way. So that the point is in this verse, karma jambuddhi yuktahi, that we can become free from our karmic reaction, free from this material world, and attain that place beyond miseries by engaging in bhakti yoga or devotional service to the Lord, which begins with, devotional service begins with Shravanam Kirtanam, that's one side. You could also say Adao Guruvashrayam. Have you ever heard the different steps in devotional service? Adao means in the beginning, Guruvashrayam. Guruvashrayam means taking shelter of a guru. Adao Guruvashrayam. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna in Adi Purana, he says, those who claim to be directly my devotees are not really my devotees. Only the person who is the devotee of my devotee is truly my devotee. So beginning with taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and hearing and chanting under their instructions. Etan niridyamananam ichchatam ukutobayam yoginam nipriniyunitam harinam anukirtanam. And in the Hare Krishna movement, everybody's guru is His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So that's our beginning, taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada, hearing from him, and trying to do devotional service to please him. He set up so many temples within the world just to give us the opportunity to do service, and then we can, by doing that, we can please him, and by pleasing him, Krishna is pleased. Jasya prasada bhagavat prasado yasya prasada nagati kutopi. So this is a very nice verse. And we talked about it for a while. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Oh yeah? How do I do that?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. This is Sudevi.
Yes, Prabhu.
You have a good question.
You mentioned how we have to try also, not just by Chaitya Darpana Marjanam, it will get all cleared away, or Nasta Praisaba Dreshu, it will get completely destroyed, almost to nil. So what will be the endeavor that we have to do? Those two things are not enough.
Well, I mean, this is, like I said, when I first heard this story about the wedding party, I was a little confused because I thought automatically I just have to do devotional service and automatically all those things will go away. Well, but if you think about it, when you start Krishna consciousness, you have to show you're ready to serve. You have to give up some things like meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. And then Krishna reciprocates. It's not just like a automatic process, with impersonal process. Krishna wants to see you are ready to serve him and ready to give up and ready to take away those things that it might be obstacles in your progress. At least make an effort. The little sparrow on the shore. And say, oh, Garuda's here. Okay, you take care of it. Everything. You take care of it. Oh, the sparrow was doing the thing as much as they could to get the water. So both things in the course of continuing to chant regularly the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. What's going to happen is we're going to become aware of some of those blocks, those roadblocks, those anarthas, those anchors that are there within our hearts, and we can pray to Krishna, help us, and we might have to take some steps to do it. We won't be able to get rid of or pull up that anchor by ourselves, but we can think about doing it, and Krishna will help us because we're chanting the holy names, because we're regularly engaging devotional service. He will give us the balam, the strength, to be able to do it. That's my understanding.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so the creator and the creation are non-different. And so the Almighty is everywhere, both in the spiritual world and the materialistic world. And so if I do all of my activities conscious that I am doing it not as a doer, but only as an instrument, then by remaining here, gurus such as yourself, you are helping so many other people to come up in life, in the spiritual life. And if such people go to Vaikuntha, then wouldn't they be unable to do the service that they are doing on the earth? So would remaining on the earth and uplifting others, being conscious of what we are doing is we are not doing, wouldn't that be good?
Well, you made many different points. Thank you for your question. Your first question was there's no difference between the Lord and his creation. Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is a simultaneous oneness and difference. So the Lord is there in his abode, and the creation is his emanation, his energy. So just like you can say, the sun is coming through the window, but that's the energy of the sun, the sunlight. So there is a difference between the sun and the sunlight. So even though they're the same, they're different. Simultaneously one and different between the energetic and their energy. So if people stay, you were mentioning that we want to do our work for Krishna's pleasure. And that's wonderful. If we actually do that, and we need to, in order to know how to act for Krishna's pleasure, we need to take the instruction of the Shastras and the Guru. And it begins with, as we were talking, hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna. But there's other services, remembering, doing deity worship, prayer, carrying out orders, etc. And you mentioned that if people stay and do this work, wouldn't that be very good? Yes, there's millions and millions of souls who are trapped, and there's millions and even more souls that are liberated in the spiritual world. So sometimes Krishna comes, and sometimes he sends his representatives called the Shakti-avesh avatar. And Krishna will take care of that. He knows what's going on. He knows what's going on. So Srila Prabhupada encouraged us to go back to Godhead. And then Krishna will take care of everybody else. He will. There's plenty of people plenty of elevated souls who he can send to take care.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Karyashna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I thought your class was so wonderful. I'm trying to make sure that I also make it to get to the temple. So I'm moving around a little bit. But the description you gave of the plight of the living entity was really nice. How our situation is so dangerous, and that we really can find shelter in the feet of Mukunda, and the lotus, and taking shelter of the lotus feet. That real shelter that we need is there. But the other thing, you also said that we have to engage in devotional service, or bhakti. In the translation, it was like buddhi. You mentioned buddhi. So it appeared to me that although this is such a bad place, there's 2 points. The first point is that this desire to experience material happiness, it just convinces us that we don't really want the shelter of those, the lotus feet, because we just keep thinking that we're going to find some pleasure in one aspect of material nature. And the other point that I was hearing is how to train it, how to bring the intelligence to the point that we surrender and we connect to with Krishna. Use our intelligence to come to that point of surrendering to the process of devotional service. I hope that was clear enough.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was given the example of the operant conditioning of the animal little box, the Skinner box they used to call them. That's our life. You know, we're programmed that way to just continue to act to get some kind of reinforcement. One thing, you know, by a salary or by whatever it might be, but continuing to do that, really, that's animal life. That's our animal life. We'll do that. So as Manish, a thoughtful person, I think let's take a step back and let's go in a different direction. This is not going to work out. It's not going to make us happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was really, really good. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This is Vrindavaneshwari.
Yes.
Nice class. Thank you. I actually had a question about, you used a very nice example of the anchor and rowing the boat. And when the anchor is down, that the boat can't go anywhere. But in order for the anchor to get pulled up, we have to pull it up. And we rely on Krishna, but we also have to do our part to release ourselves. Is that correct? That's correct. I was relaying that back correctly. So if the anchor, if we never did our part to pull the anchor up, and we're sitting there rowing and rowing and rowing and getting tired, and is there, you know, how do we bring ourselves to the point where we're finding the you know, the relishment and the drive and the desire to continue to remember to pull the anchor up and then keep rowing? And I know that sounds a little abstract, but
That's okay. You know, sometimes it's hard for us to, you know, examine where our attachments and our you know, difficulties are. So one of the really benefits of having an association of devotees is we can see, what do you think? How can I improve? How can I improve? A lot of times we have no idea what I'm not saying talking about you, I'm talking about me. What different difficulties I might be causing others or causing myself. So in association with devotees, you know, with the spiritual master, it says, how can I improve? How can I serve you? Those are really good. Who was it? Rumsfeld? Donald Rumsfeld, yeah. There's the known unknowns and there's the unknown unknowns. Remember this? Yeah,
yes.
So, yeah. So, you know, so there's certain things we can see, we can find to ourselves, maybe to a little degree, but some of the things it's hard for us to see. So to get support from in the association of devotees, that's how I would answer it. Of course, you know, also the spiritual master will say, and he will, or he or she will give you guidance in that area. Of course, we have to be open to it. You know, somebody might tell me you should do this, and I would say, I'm not. That's me. I'd probably reject it, but those are things that happen, you know. Lord Chaitanya went to his spiritual master, and the spiritual master said, hey, "You're a fool." Right? You're a fool. Oh, Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he took it. Wow. I mean, that's the sign of an advanced person, is that they accepted the direction, even when it's a little tough. So.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is that when sometimes we don't know which anchors that there's an anchor down necessarily. And so the association of devotees will help us see that, either by us having a you know, close and personal relationship, that someone could, you know, give us that feedback to say, you have this anchor down, maybe you want to think about pulling it up and it'll help you. or maybe by the interactions that might bring about conflict within a devotee, that we can reflect within ourselves and say, oh, I think this might be an anchor and maybe I can work on it.
Well said, well said. Thank you. You did a good job there. Thank you. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhus, thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, announcements. You're going to do it from here? Okay, sure. Couple of announcements. Go ahead, Acharya Prabhu.
Thank you, Vishnugada Prabhu. I want to thank Vishnugada Prabhu for speaking to us today from Srimad Bhagavad-gita. Couple just quick announcements of events coming up this week. Tuesday is Yogini Ekadasi, fast from beans and grains. On Wednesday, we have a event called Can We Talk? And we're starting a series. I don't know how often it's going to happen, but a series of when devotees can get together to talk about particular issues. So there's a particular issue that has been on the minds of many devotees. They've come forward to talk to devotees that have talked to me or directly have talked to me, and that's regarding the protests about racial injustice that have been going on. A lot of devotees have been wondering, what should we do? Is there room within Vaishnavism for social activism? Is there ways that we can participate? There's definitely a desire with devotees to understand more about this, how they can get involved, and also proper perspective. So we thought the best forum would be to actually do a place where we can talk in a safe place. Devotees can talk amongst each other. So this is going to take place on Wednesday evening on this Zoom channel at 7:30. And the facilitators will be Haryashwar Prabhu and Balabhadra Prabhu. So please tune into that if you have interest in this particular topic. I think it'll be a night where we can become a little more educated on the issues and also understand how as devotees we can grow, and when these types of matters they come up, and how we can look at it and participate as well. Thursday night we have our Srila Prabhupada Leela night, when we study the great transcendental adventures of His Divine Grace. On Saturday is the disappearance days of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Lord Gadadhar, associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is a fast till noonday on Saturday. Also on Saturday evening, we will have the association once again of His Holiness Giriraj Swami. So that'll take us at 7:30 on Saturday evening. Giriraj Swami will speak about the pastimes of Gadadhar Pandit, as well as some of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So definitely not one you want to miss. Maharaj spoke this past Friday. It was really, really sweet, and we're looking more for his association. Tonight we have a sponsor for our Sunday feast. For those of you who don't know, who haven't been able to follow our newsletter, we definitely recommend you do, because it's hard to get information out these days because we're not seeing each other face to face. So the weekly e-news that we send out is a great way to catch up on all the things that are happening here at ISKCON Philadelphia. So those that are not familiar, you can sponsor the Sunday feast, as we once did before, and that prasadam is going out on Sundays. We ask that people RSVP only so we know how much to make. We don't want to waste, nor do we want to make sure that devotees that do come get prasadam. So the best way to do that is to RSVP. The information for the RSVP is in the newsletter, so please, again, look at that. So tonight there was a feast sponsor, and they wanted to remain anonymous, but they wanted to make sure that we did it in honor of a devotee who recently left his body in New Vrindavan. His name is Venkat Prabhu. Venkat was a very committed and loyal and dedicated servant of New Vrindavan. the deities there, Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra and Shringadev. And he unfortunately left his body, too early. And it's broken the hearts of many of the devotees, especially here in Philadelphia. There's a lot of devotees who have been connected to New Vrindavan for a long time, and he was very dear to their hearts. So I wanted to show a picture of him, and I wanted us to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 3 times on his behalf. Once again, the Sunday program tonight was dedicated to him. So give me a second. I want to take you over to a picture of him. And while I mentioned that before, we have those that are interested in darshan. The temple is still open on a limited basis, Monday through Saturday, 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. On Sunday, 11:30 to 12:30 in the afternoon, and then 5:45 until 7:15 tonight. Okay. Venkat Prabhu. So,
It's nice.
So, thank you all again for joining us today for our Sunday program. And tune in every morning at 7:50 for Srimad Bhagavatam on the same Zoom channel. And we can continue to associate with each other. And even though we can physically not be in each other's presence, we can, through this medium of Zoom, through our phones, we can still stay connected and hear Krishna Katha. Okay, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Glories to Prabhupada.
Krishnadu Vyevacha, Patitanam
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha.
Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.